All right, back with another one for you. So this one's gonna be super jam-packed with value. I'm like trying to contain my excitement right now because I'm so excited to share this with you. But this one's gonna be super packed on value in regards to charisma, which is one of my favorite topics, right? And the reason why it is one of my favorite topics is because when you think about what it takes to get what you want out of life, a lot of it does come down to communication. And so if you do not have communication skills, you will not have a very fun life, right? A very successful life. And even if you do have financial success, like a gentleman I met at a networking event not too long ago told me, he goes, when I initially started making a lot of money, I thought it was going to solve all my problems. I thought I was going to be happy, but all it did was it highlighted how lonely I really was. Because now that he had all the finances, right, to go and do fun stuff, he had nobody to spend it with, right? And it's like usually when we're on this path to whether it's break generational curses or just to really progress and be that one out of the family that makes it happen, like there's an opportunity cost to that, right? And so a lot of it is sacrificing time with friends, family, and we often isolate ourselves in order to do so. And so there's two great quotes that I was able to combine together that I'm going to share with you here that really condenses this point. And it's that the quality of your life is dictated on the quality of your communication because most of human existence is relationship. Now, when you think about that, just let that one simmer. Let it marinate a little bit, right? It's so crazy because it's so true. And so, one of the biggest factors of having good communication is having good charisma. And so we're going to dive deep into some things that have helped me be a lot more charismatic. I wasn't born out the womb. Well, I actually like to believe I was born out the womb having a lot of charisma. But there was definitely some things that I've been able to implement over the years. And, kind of like I never really defined myself as these terms like socially awkward. I never put those labels on myself like ever. Like even before I knew it was like something, oh, you don't want to do that. I still didn't do it because it was kind of against my brand. Like I'm like, anyway, maybe it was my ego that protected me from that. But I wouldn't say that I was ever define myself as socially awkward, but I definitely had some socially awkward moments, right, in communication. And so a lot of the time when it comes down to being charismatic, you have to be the one to come into the room that is already full of life, right? You're not going into the room with empty pockets. You're not going to the room with your hand out, okay? That is very repelling, and that does not make you stand out whatsoever because that is what most people do. So what do? Well, you do the exact opposite. You come into that room full of life. Your cup has to be overflowing, right? There's a saying that most people walk around with their umbilical cords out looking for somebody certain, confident, charismatic to plug it into. And so that's why we're so gravitated towards these people because they're so full. Their cup is overflowing. They have enough to pour. You some, your buddy some, your girlfriend, you're like, they're just so overflowing. And so people get, attracted to that. And a lot of the work that those people put in is before they go into the room. Like, yeah, some people are naturally energetic, sure. But, if you want to stand out, like you have to put the work in before, One of my coaches shared this recently, but he goes, the best athletes, the best business people practice way more than they perform. And that is why their performance seems so effortless. While amateurs, right, they perform more than they practice. And so, when you think about that, maybe some people came to mind. Maybe Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, right? Mike Tyson, so you always have to put practice in. So there's no cheat code to that. I mean, there is cheat codes, but you still have to practice the cheat codes or else the cheat codes don't work as good as they can, right? And so one of the big things that helps with charisma is coming into the room already energetic, okay? So a lot of time you have to come into the room already with your mindset shifted. A lot of it has to do with intention. So what is your intention when going into this room, into this networking event, right? Are you there to pour into other people or are you there to take from other people? It's a few different things, right? And even if you're somebody like, I I'm broke. I don't, let's say you're in a space where you're trying to maybe escape the rat race, or you're just trying to get something from this event, which everybody's going to an event to get something from it. Like, let's not hide that, right? But show up to the event with, let me provide as much value as I can based off the experiences I've had. Because just because you might not be in the position you don't want to be in, that does not take away from the fact that you've had life experiences that have brought you to where you are, right? And so even if you don't have anything to share, which I very highly doubt, the best thing you could do is actually listen to people. People like telling their story. People like talking about themselves. People like sharing their success, their wins. Especially very successful people do. They have big egos. They like to be flattered, right? And so if you could at least provide that and provide a space for people to be open and share with you, they'll remember you. Like, damn, that guy was a really good listener, right? And you have to be very intentful. So one of the things is you want to come into the room already with, like, the intention set. I'm going to walk into this space, whether it's a dinner, anywhere, family party, show up. Yo, it's been so long. Like, hug them, kiss, so that's the big thing. Show excitement when you first meet people. Show excitement and look for something on them to compliment. Huge. It's so huge. That right there alone will separate you from 99% of people. When you shake somebody's hand, like, wow, man, like, okay, I see the shoes, man, all right. Like, yo, they're butter them up, and don't be, like, even if that's like, oh, I don't do that, like, I'm Mr. Stoic, I'm Mr. Too Cool, like, dude, it's not out of character, it's just out of practice. Always keep that in mind. Anytime, like, oh, that's not me, dude, it's out of character, it is not out of practice. When you were born, you weren't born believing anything. A lot of your beliefs have been taught to you, okay? So, super huge to keep in mind. And as I share that, like, I'm really sharing that with myself as well. Like, these are all things, like, we constantly have to live by. If you ever go a day without sharpening the knife, it gets dull. Without sharpening the sword, it gets dull. Like, especially if you're using it, right? If like, literally, as in the analogy itself, if you're using the blade every day, it will get dull if you do not sharpen it. So you have to constantly sharpen it. Sharpening practice, right? So that's the big thing. It's like a muscle. Okay. Now, one of the things that I do love about being charismatic, or one of the I guess, tools that I love that make you charismatic, is being able to speak in metaphors, being able to speak with analogies. This is huge. Now, the reason why it's huge is because the thing with metaphors, or the thing with analogies in general, they really make a point concise, okay? And they just drive it home so well, like none other, okay? And so if you're ever like having a conversation, let's say maybe you're in sales, right? I use this all the time on calls. You just have to take points and give them meaning, right? So yeah, and you could even take sayings like fortune favors the bold. So anytime I'm on the call, I'm like, you know how they say fortune favors the bold? Fortune also favors those who bet on themselves. Okay? Now that's not really a metaphor, but it's going off on a bit of a tangent here. Now, when we talk about metaphors, I know I got some ones that are going to come. I'm trying to find the best one for this situation here. But, okay, great one. So anytime like I'm on a sales call and I'm talking about how important it is for you to have somebody there to catch things that you do that you're not aware of. I always say this. Matter of fact, I never not say this. Your nose is an inch above your mouth, but you still need somebody else to tell you when your breath stinks. Dude, how you cannot even tell that your breath stinks when it does. And look how close these two are. Think about that. Another one that's great is that we've all seen a fly smack a window. We've all seen a fly smack a window when there's a wide open one, like 2 feet away. But the damn thing, or if you're in the car, you have the window, right? Like you have your driver's side window, you have all the windows, matter of fact, down. But for some reason, that stupid mosquito just keeps smacking the windshield. Doesn't want to leave out any other way. The same way you can see that for that insect is the same way somebody else can notice your problem. That's why it's so easy for us to see the things that other people do wrong that are close to us, but it's so hard for us to see it ourselves. Another thing too is like if you ever think about how hard it is to control somebody. If you ever think about, if you're one of those people that see these people that constantly are smacking themselves against a window, and you're like, why don't you just, like, it's so easy to see somebody else, right? Now, in the same way that it's so easy to see somebody else, like, it's hard to change them. The same way, it's so hard to change something that we do ourselves, right? Like, if you ever think, like, how hard it is to control people, I know I'm going off on a tangent here, but yes, I wanted to drive that point home. If you ever think about how hard it is if you ever want to control somebody else, always think about how hard it is to control yourself in certain moments. Just want to drive that point home because I think it's so important. As somebody that is constantly seeing other people like mess up in certain areas, you always have to take that into consideration. Like, you can only control the controllables of what you do. And so just always direct that focus. It's so easy to point out other people. Let's direct that focus back here. And let's be the example. So metaphors are huge, okay, when it comes to communication. And really, another thing too is you're able to influence people with them, right? So, and I think this is so crazy because, anytime, like, if you do sales, or even if, and here's the thing is, even if you're not in sales, we're always selling, right? If you like to share your ideas and your beliefs, like, you're selling. You're selling, and I'm sure you heard that before, but you're planting things in people's heads, right? And so you always want to be, for one, the same way. If you're in the space of, like, you like priming people for success, right? You have to prime yourself first. That's been a huge thing that does help me, is constantly listening and constantly feeding myself good information every single day. Like, it gets my brain going, right? And a cool thing I love is, while you listen to somebody like a great speaker, if you ever listen to a great speaker, you'll have your own ideas, like, as they speak, because you have your own experience. I love it because it's just like, okay, so like, I listen to Myron Golden. If you don't know who he is, definitely check him out. Myron, I have one of my old mentors. I still listen to his stuff, and so, like, anytime he would talk, it's just like, I'm tying all the things that he's saying back to experiences that I've had, where either I could have implemented this, I could have used this. Had I did it, it would have been different. How can I use this for what I do now in the future, moving forward? Like, I talked to this woman on a date, like, oh, that's why that happened. Like, so and the thing is, you have to write these things down, because, like, I really genuinely believe this to sound woo-woo-y, but I don't care, call it what you want. When we're in the state where our mind is just feeding us, like, these random, like, great ideas, what's happening is we're channeling the divine. Now, you can only channel the divine so much, right? Because it'll come to you in moments while you're on a walk. It's kind of like when you're in the shower and you're thinking about an argument you just had, and you're just like, you're coming up with the best things. Like, you're like, why didn't I think of that? Okay, so you have to write those things down, because the divine is literally sending you just great ideas, messages, gifts, okay? And you have to catch them. If you don't catch them, they're gone like the wind. So huge. A lot of successful people practice this. And the great thing is, you have a phone that you could use your notes app for, and jot that thing down on the spot. You have to do it. You have to do it. Obviously, make sure it's like, if you're driving, make sure you get somewhere safe first, But I think that is so important. And what's helped me a lot with, like, my communication is jotting down metaphors that I've heard, or ones that come to me. Okay, I'm actually going to pull up, because I do have a document. I'm going to do this in another video, but I'm going to have a document pulled up of all the metaphors that I use in order to instill certain beliefs in people, right, and reshape the way they think, because it's something that is very useful, it's very important, and even, like, when I'm in conversations with people, I always throw them out, right? You can't lead a horse to water, right? Well, you could even challenge that point. Well, if you give the horse a salt cube, it might become thirsty, right? And so, like, that's a big one for if you're in sales. Like, yeah, the horse, I mean, you can't force the horse to drink the water, but you can do certain things to make it want to, and to lead it there, right? Especially if you know that the horse is dehydrated and for some reason it's stubborn, and so, like, that's a huge thing as well. Another one I like to use these are just off the top of my head. I had this guy that was I was on a sales call and he was like super busy, right? He's just like, man, I'm doing so much work right now and just trying to get this thing off the ground. And you could tell he was overwhelmed with his situation. Okay? Now listen, you want to empower people. You want to empower people in these moments. It's very easy, especially for salespeople, like, oh, let me make them feel disempowered so that way they feel the need to buy what I want to buy. You want them to definitely feel the need to get it from you, but you also want them to feel empowered in the sense of like, hey, they're not a person that is incapable. If somebody is incapable, why would they purchase your thing if they don't feel like they're going to have success using it? Think about that. Like if you're one of those people like, oh, I'm going to try to like twist all these knives. Like, I mean, the twisting the knives help, but you only want to do it in certain moments. Now, you also want people to feel very capable and very resourceful, and you want to put them in this buying state. Just think about when you buy something, right? Like, it's a whole experience. You want to feel good when you buy. Like, if I buy a car, like, I'm excited. I don't want to buy a car because the sales dude made me feel like I need it. Otherwise, I'm not going to be looked at as successful with my peers, or I'm not going to have success with women if I don't have this car. I do not want to feel like that in the moment. I want to feel like I'm the man. I'm the mother effing man in this moment. Okay, so that's how you want your prospect to feel good, right? Anytime we make purchases, big purchases, we want to feel good. So anyway, in this moment, I kind of tie back to this point, but he was, he was really busy with business. He had this going on. He also has, his wife he's dealing with, and he's like, man, but like, he was kind of like talking himself into being in a positive state. And I go, you know what, man? I go, beautiful thing about that is 90% of rocket fuel is used during takeoff. Boom, just clicked for him. He goes, yeah. What did that do? That made him feel like everything he's doing right now is just to get the rocket up. Once it's up, it's up. Like, so we just have to keep in mind that, and this is so true as well, like to even go into that point itself, that analogy, is that's true. A lot of time when we're starting something new or we're trying to get something off the ground, it takes so much energy because we're going from literally one version to ourselves to another. And this new version of ourselves is the person that gets this done. This person isn't. So we're transforming ourselves into this person. And so it could feel like a lot of work because these are new habits that you're having to instill. It's kind of like anybody that has gone to the gym and gotten in shape that was in horrible shape before can literally tell you, like, it was maybe a lot of heavy lifting at first, no pun intended. It was a lot of heavy lifting at first, but once, they just built the habit, like, now it's easy. It's like, dude, I don't know why I wasn't doing this before. Like, this is not a problem. And so, just wanted to drive that point home. So, and keep in mind, like, going back to the charisma of this, is like, as I'm saying this, like, he's buying into everything that I'm saying, which is priming him for success. Like, and even excluding the sale, like, and I say this before, I want people that join to feel empowered. I want them to feel like I want to enhance the experience as much as possible for them. Okay? So a huge part of that is priming them for success. Meaning, I'm going to instill all these beliefs in you. So, like, not only so that obviously you invest, like, that's the big one, but that you feel good going through it. You didn't feel like you just messed up. You didn't feel like you just, like did something that wasn't beneficial for you. Like, you're like, I'm all in. Like, I wish I had done this sooner. That's really what I want people to think, is I wish I had done this sooner. Right? So, we're also putting them in a resourceful state, right? As I mentioned earlier, we're putting them in a resourceful state. So somebody that's resourceful is looking at obstacles as catalysts. Like, they're looking at obstacles as things that, like, yeah, I'm gonna overcome that, right? Or like, yeah, no, that's not a problem, I got that. For example, it goes back to the whole thing, like, oh, if you want something done, give it to a busy person. If somebody tells you they're busy, that's what you say. And they're like, yeah. I mean, it makes sense, right? Are you going to give it to the lazy guy that has all the time in the world? That guy gets nothing done. Who would you rather work with? So that's so huge. And this all ties back into charisma, because think about this. If you are somebody that could get somebody into that kind of state, how do they look at you in this moment? in that moment? How do they feel about you? How do they look at you? Like they want, like, dude, this guy, like, is changing my life. Like I think about the mentorship that I bought back in 2019. The first one, it was almost $4,000, dude. Like that guy changed my life. Okay, and he had something to sell. He did have something to sell, and he knew the people that were purchasing it needed to buy it, and I was one of those people. And I do not regret a single penny that I spent. And that wasn't the only thing I bought from him, by the way, right? So I say all that to say that you become unforgettable when you make an impact on somebody's life, especially for a brief moment even. Like, you know, if the more you can do that, the more it compounds. And so this goes into getting everything you want out of life, because if you could communicate to more people in this fashion, right? Think about how successful you would be. If you go to a networking event and you don't know how to communicate, you know what it used to feel like when I would go to networking events and I didn't know how to communicate with people? It would feel like I was looking at a gold mine, but I had no tools to get any of the gold out. Like, I'm just like helpless, right? I'm just sitting there. All I got is my hands. What, am I going to dig it out with my nails? Like, it's just, so the more you could acquire communication skills to go into, like, not only charisma is a huge one, right? I think charisma is so big for, you know, making the first impression, getting it going, and also, like, you know, like carrying it along the way. I think it's such a foundational thing that you need to have. Now, what are some other things that you need? Well, you also need to be able to listen to the person in order to be charismatic, right? So like you have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. So you need to be listening twice as much as you speak. Otherwise, you don't want to be the guy that's like preaching, right? You don't want to become a preacher. That's very off-putting to people. So if you're charismatic but you're too overboard, it's overkill. It's done. Charm is a huge one, right? Having charm within the conversation as well. Seduction also plays a role. It doesn't have to be like a sexual thing. It's just, if you could have seduction, like anytime that people are being persuaded in a way, they're being seduced into the concept of it, right? It could totally be a sexual thing, or it can't. But I think that's such a huge thing, because like I think about the process of seduction. I think of like you're really speaking to that person's like deep desire. Like that's what it is, right? And you're speaking to it maybe not so directly, but it's like you're speaking to the unconscious of it. And so like if you think about seduction with women, like between, you know, men and women, like seduction really is magic when like the girl is like, I like him and I don't even know why. Like he just gets me. Like if she's in that state, it's a done deal. Absolutely, right? And so, you know, just, I don't know why I can't. And so, because she's so connected to this unconscious thing that's been created for her, and she can't even understand it. Like, that's when it's good, when, like, you can't even put words to it, right? You can't even put words to the feeling. It's such a huge thing. But when you think about that, I really just wanted to keep this on charisma here as much as possible, because I know there's other things that come into it. You know, like ability, building trust within the conversation, like all those things do count. But I think if you have charisma down, right, like you want that to be your foundation. You really want it, like, that's what I think. Like, I want charisma to be my foundation, and then everything else is just skills added on top of that, because I could always revert back to being charismatic, and then I could also use things to leverage it inside. So I'll leave it off with that. I'll definitely create another video where I share a lot more of the analogies that I do use that do help me with not only my sales calls, but also talking to people on a daily basis, having conversations with friends, having conversations with strangers, having conversations with women that I'm interested, right? These are all things that we could apply and grow. So with that being said, I hope this was helpful for you. Maybe drop something that was insightful, or something that, you know, you do plan to use in the comment section below. And look forward to seeing you next one. Peace.